Megan, how are you doing?
I'm great, my longtime friend, Andris. I'm good,
Long
thank
time.
you. Yeah.
I wonder, I think it was, we have a backstory. We have an origin story. I think we'll probably talk about that at another time. But I think we met in 2000, probably late 2006. That is my recollection.
I think that's probably accurate. That is probably accurate, yes. So it's been a good 20 years.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, in about 5 weeks, it will be 20 years. That's pretty scary. 2026. And yeah, we'll go into that some other time, but it's a it's a great connection that we have through your dad.
Yes,
Someone
precisely. That deserves
important.
a whole
Yeah,
conversation on its
yeah,
own.
definitely. So you and I were talking recently about a post. It's actually a post I made on LinkedIn, and also I sent it out to my newsletter list about the power of writing a thank you card.
You got
And
so much traction.
people, it really resonated with people. Remember IJ Schechter?
No, should I?
IJ was a one of the writers, really the top writer in your dad's on your dad's list back in 2006, 2007. A great writer, and what a great compliment. He commented on that LinkedIn post that I made and said something about, "Hey, Andris, you're making me misty here." Quite an emotional topic, right? And I replied something like, yeah, absolutely, IJ. Between this and me reminiscing about the 1992-93 World Series, it's just too much. It's just too much.
Just too much. Well, I love that you said you've kept a box of handwritten thank you notes that you've received over the years. And that alone shows the power that they hold for you and so many. I mean, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I've got these bankers boxes, and I've kept most, pretty much all birthday cards, thank you cards, congratulations, whatever letters that I've received since I was about 14, plus concert tickets, programs from attending various events, that kind of thing. And I was recently going through some papers of someone close to me recently, and that got me thinking about, oh yeah, my banker's boxes, maybe I should have a look at them. And I started going through them, and I was really struck by it was the fact that people took the time to write with a pen and paper, and they went and got a stamp, and they paid for it, and they mailed it. And it is something that I tried. As it happens, I sent a couple postcards this summer, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. I know, because you have to go somewhere to mail it too. And I think people are so used to not having to do that. But also, did it take a long time to get there? Because I've lost the plot on if Canada Post is operating or not.
It was not bad. It was just before the Canada Post strike, so that didn't weigh into it. But anyway, looking back at these thank you cards, I went through some of them, and letters, and saw one from my buddy Pierre. We're still friends. This is in 1993 or something like that. He had broken his leg while skiing in Switzerland, and he wrote me a full page letter and went into some depth about it. And that's just something that's not done anymore. And the emotional resonance of giving the thank you, and you saw the feedback, the engagement that people made with that post. It is something that I think we've lost, and brands, companies, personal brands too, could be a missed opportunity there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Do you know what it makes me think of? A friend of mine who lives in New York, who she was business development for a big agency in Manhattan. And she was tasked with bringing in new business. And she decided to write handwritten notes to brand leaders the company admired. And she actually had a pretty great success rate because people said, oh my God, a handwritten note landed on my desk. Like that just doesn't happen anymore. So it's interesting how reverting back to some traditions might actually be the way to break through right now in our hyper digital not in real life world. So
I'm with you, and I've witnessed it firsthand. I mentioned in the LinkedIn post how I sent, and this was not last year, it was 5, 6, 7 years ago, I sent a thank you card to one of my clients, Greg Dismagian. And I happened to walk into his office a week or two later to meet on some subject. And he walked towards me. He saw me from, 20 feet away, and he walked towards me. His hand was extended really early. And I thought, well, this is a nice warm welcome. I don't know why he's being, he's a warm guy, but he's being exceptionally warm today. And the first thing he did was thank me for the thank you card. I mean, how meta is that? That's the impact that it had on him.
I love that. I love that. It makes a big difference. And, since I read your post, I actually thought, I've been thinking about how can I use that in my own business? How can I instill that idea in my clients? Where can they use this? And just thinking about a recent brand experience in my personal life. So well.ca, they're linked to Rexall pharmacies, and you can order their website's actually amazing. You can order everything from kids' toys through to Tylenol. But they used to send in their packages a handwritten thank you note from the person who packed the box. And I've noticed recently it's become like a mass printed, but in a cursive writing. So it looks like a handwritten note, but it no longer is. And that made me a bit sad. I guess they've got big enough now that they can't have people doing handwritten, but maybe they should have kept that. It really made a difference.
I've received a letter. It was from a big company that shall go unnamed, and it was signed in the fake pen. Cursive. And this, I felt really ripped off. I felt really annoyed because this was not good news from them. And on top of that, the person, whoever it was, didn't sign. Was it a real person or not? I'm not sure. They didn't sign their full name, the first name. They used their initial. And I just thought, man, that's pretty brutal. Whatever the first initial was, let's say it was K or something like that. Smith. It's I don't even know who you are. I think you're personalizing something. You're not, because I can realize that it's mass produced. And you're not even revealing. In fact, it looks kind of like you're hiding your first name. It's not a good look.
Yes, I totally agree. I think so. What do you think about, so now is a time of year we're entering into, holiday season, Christmas season, where brands are using the opportunity to thank their customers. What do you think about how brands should thank customers authentically?
Wow. I work more in the personal branding space than you do. So I think the advice that I would give is a little simpler, or maybe it just seems simpler to me because I'm this is my area, and you're very strong on the big corporate side. For me, I think, I'm going to send out some cards. I haven't decided if they're going to be Christmas cards. They might be. I've done New Year's cards before to kind of differentiate myself, to stand out, because everyone gets them at Christmas. And you know what happens? Well, I should correct myself. Not anymore. Okay, not anymore. So, okay, maybe it does make sense to send out a Christmas card. My habit in past years has been to send a New Year's card, and that way stand out a little bit, because people are back in the office and they're not going through that stack that they received at Christmas. So that's something that I will do, and that I would recommend that my clients do. That personal touch, it makes a lot of sense. We've talked about this. I also have a really strong bias against the mass Christmas email. Let me be specific about that. If you're sending out a newsletter or some kind of holiday greeting, and it's text with some images, I think that's okay. What actually bothers me is some kind of poorly done video. It's really about the execution, because if it's a poorly done video or a GIF or some kind of collage or carousel, something like that, I've just seen too many that look, the intent is destroyed. It's subverted because it's done so cheaply, and we're just ticking a box here. That's what it really looks like. And it ends up being the opposite of personal. It ends up being impersonal. So those are some of my thoughts on that. And I wonder what you think about, for bigger organizations, what they should be considering?
Yeah, it's a good question because for bigger organizations, I mean, personalizing, obviously they can personalize an email newsletter with a name in it, but and then, who does it well in terms of a thank you at the end of the year is Spotify. It's not a handwritten note, but do you, with the personalized,
yes,
it's basically a thank you in the form of content about yourself that you then use to promote them because you want to share it with your audience. So for those who don't know, it's basically, I forget what they call it, but it's like an end of year kind of recap of your usage on Spotify. So there probably is a thank you in there. Thanks for being a Spotify customer. You've listened to X hundred hours of music. This is your top artist. This was your top song. This was your top playlist. And then everybody shares that on social media, who's active on social media. And it's such an amazing personalized way for a large company to say thank you. I love that example. And I think and then I saw more and more people jumping on that bandwagon last year. Like I used Peloton. They did something similar. It was like you rode for X hours, the distance between here and here kind of thing. I think if companies aren't doing something personalized, I always say either entertain me in a thank you, give me something that makes me laugh or just is an entertaining piece of content, or tell me something that sort of is purposeful, contributes to the meaning of the Christmas season. So I think you'd mentioned one of your clients uses the opportunity to talk about what they donate to at the end of the year, a charity they donate to, thanks clients for allowing that to happen because of their business. And so I think having some purpose to your thank you and not just simply a thank you feels sort of hollow as a brand. Entertain me, give me some information of purpose, or personalize it towards me is probably what I would bucket the ideal best practices into.
I love it. I love it. Perfect. And, I'm not a Spotify guy, but I was, not anymore, actually, an Apple Music person. And I've received their list at the end of the year of what I've listened to that year. And it is fascinating. And it's a fascinating view of yourself. It made me, a couple years ago, last year, actually, I did a long road trip to Texas and back. And I went through Memphis, too. So the amount of Elvis in there and the country, and I love old country like Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash and people like that, and it brought some really great memories back. I thought it was very, very. It sound like many great brand initiatives. It is so good that you think it's obvious. Oh, anyone could have done that. It's obvious. That is part of the brilliance. That's brilliant work. That's what that is. It wasn't obvious. Sorry. The way that they put it together for you is actually quite brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And you know what? It's sort of like the simplest ideas that you go, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea, but how simple? It kind of goes back to the thank you note. Yes, it requires effort, but at the end of the day, it's a small gesture that goes so far. So sometimes simplicity is really an amazing reminder for personal brand. And it's definitely reminded me to send some personal handwritten thank yous this year.
Yes. And I've received a handwritten card from someone based on that LinkedIn post. And I've also sent a handwritten thank you card to someone. So flexing those muscles, getting back into it. Yeah. One more way to stand out. And it feels good. Hey,
I love it.
how can you miss?